Hey friends, and welcome to the Happy Hour with Jamie Ivey podcast. I'm your host, Jamie, and I'm so glad you're here. Each week on this show, I invite a girlfriend to join me and we chat about the big things in life, the little things in life, and everything in between. Happy 2020, my friends. It's a new decade. Well, it's the second month in a new decade now. I thought it'd be fun to talk to a few friends about what life was like for them 10 years ago. How has their life changed? What the year 2010 brought them? What the whole last decade has brought them? And what they hope for the next 10 years. Today's Valentine's Day, friends. Happy Valentine's Day. We here at the Happy Hour, we want to say that we love you and we love getting to create these shows for you. Thank you so much for listening. Also, random fact, but my husband, Aaron Ivey, and I, well, we got engaged on Valentine's Day 19 years ago today. Today's Your Last Decade is for everyone, but a special shout out to all my single ladies and men, because I know some of you secretly listen. My guest for today is Kelly Stamp from Bentonville, Arkansas, which also, another random fact, that is the home of Walmart. But that's not what this show is about. Kelly and I talked a bit about her workplace job to be a stay-at-home mom, but there was some isolation that came. And so guess what? She started blogging like so many of us have before. Then, 10 years ago, on a bit of a whim, Kelly did this shout-out invitation for other bloggers and readers to share about the singles in their lives. She thought maybe they could do a little bit of a matchmaking. And you guys, it worked. I'm not going to tell you more because I want you to hear it from Kelly. But over the last 10 years that she has been doing this, there have been dozens of couples brought together through her efforts on the blog and now through Instagram. Before we jump into the show, I do want to say this, is that Kelly mentioned something that I believe is really important. And that's this, that marriage is not the highest calling on our lives. And sometimes we've seen that the church might not do the best job with seeing and celebrating singles. I agree with Kelly on this. And we both want you to know that if you're listening and you are single, live your life now. Do the things you want to do and don't wait. We also know that many of our single friends want and desire to be married, and that in these years of waiting, there can be a lot of pain, and we see you in that. I love that Kelly's Singles Day is one way that Kelly has jumped into ministry for singles to be seen and supported. I hope that today's conversation will encourage us all, whether we're married or single, to celebrate one another and be prayerful for the wants and desires of those around us. Okay, guys, here is my conversation with Kelly Stamps. Kelly, welcome to the special edition of the Happy Hour called Your Last Decade. Welcome.
Hey, Jamie. Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy to have you on here. It's fun because I've known you through the interwebs for many, many years, but we just met 2 years ago in your neck of the woods at actually Amy Hannon's house, which a lot of people may know her as Una Mays. She hosted a book tour party for me and you came and it was so great.
Yes, that was really fun.
Yes.
I loved that you came and it was really fun to get to meet you there.
Let me tell you, Northwest Arkansas is the place to be. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm biased, but I do love it.
Y'all have some really great things going on there. Okay, introduce yourselves to my listeners and tell us about your family and where you live and all that jazz.
Okay, well, I'm Kelly Stamps, and I live in Northwest Arkansas in Bentonville, which is home of Walmart. And I am married to Scott. We have 3 kids, Harper, who just turned 11, Hollis, who is 8, and then Will Holden, who was our surprise baby when I was 41, and he's 4.
Oh my gosh. Don't you, a surprise baby, it's the best, right?
It is. It wasn't the best at the very beginning, but but once I got used to the idea, I mean, he's like the best thing ever. So yeah, God knows what he's doing.
Oh my gosh. It's so funny because I have other friends that have had that like surprise baby. And then they look back, I mean, not even 4 years, but they just go, this is the best thing that could have ever happened to our family.
It really is. It really is.
God is good. Okay, so this show, as everyone knows who's listening, is we look back on the past 10 years. And so I have loved this so much. It's been so fun, Kelly. So take us all back to 2010. What did your life look back like in 2010?
Well, okay, so I was 36, which puts me in middle age now, right in the middle of middle age. But I was 36. I had worked. I didn't get married till I was 30, and then we didn't have a baby till I was 35. So kind of a little later, especially in this, where I'm from, kind of that seems later in life. Yeah. And so I had worked out of college for Walmart for years in business for 14 years, and nobody in the world wanted to be a stay-at-home mom more than me. And so, I desperately want, I loved working, loved it. And I was a workaholic, but I really just dreamed of the day I'd get to be a stay-at-home mom. So 10 years ago, I was a stay-at-home mom for the first time. My daughter was 1, and I loved it, but it was also extremely isolating, and I was really alone. I had lots of friends, but you're just, when you have that first baby, they're on a schedule, and she took, I was like tied to her nap times, and I just spent all my time at home with her, which I loved, but I felt so lonely and isolated. And that's when I was I still am, but I was really into blogging. There wasn't a lot of social media back then. It was Twitter.
Yeah.
But that was like and now I can't stand Twitter, but at the time I loved it because it's all there was. And it was like my lifeline to the world. And I had friends, but they were all in the same boat, with babies, and we were all home. And so that was my outlet, was like blogging and Twitter. And that's kind of how I felt like I talked to, because I was so used to being with people all the time and going to meetings and going to lunch. And all of a sudden I was just with this baby that didn't talk, and I would talk to her and,
and she would just stare at you. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So my life dramatically, it was everything I'd hoped for, had wished for, but it was different than I had expected. And so it's just, I found myself in a different season of life.
I think that's always so interesting when I talk to women about going from one thing to the other, from becoming a mom and a career, is no matter which way you jump from, there's such a big transition, and there's so many things that you can't even explain until someone gets there. Like for you to leave your career and come home to be home with your kids, like you said, you've been looking forward to that your whole life, but yet it was so difficult. And the same is true when someone
goes back to work.
Back to work. Yes. Yeah. You go, if I could give anything to get back to work. And then you get there, and there's just so many challenges that you could have never understood before you got there.
Exactly.
Do you still blog?
I do. I feel like I've been blogging for 14 years, I think. And I feel like I'm one of the few people that, I feel like people have come along now that are like lifestyle fashion bloggers. That's the new thing. But I feel like I'm one of the only mom blogger people that originally did it a long time ago that still does it. And most people have moved on to writing books or doing podcasts or whatever else. And I still just run my little blog because that's just my lane. It's still my outlet. And I think, I don't really care if anybody ever reads this, but it's just I still do it on blogspot.com. I never even moved to WordPress.
I love that, Kelly. Okay, you made me ask an interesting question that I want to ask right now. You're the one that just said everyone moved on. They're writing books or writing podcasts. And you started to say you didn't finish it, but I think you were going to say I'm staying in my lane.
Yeah.
Have you ever had that pull of maybe I should do what everyone else is doing?
No, but I really haven't. But I think sometimes that's what I should be doing. I should, I've had people say, well, why don't you write a book, or why don't you? And I think I don't really want to. And I don't really, my husband's always saying, you should do a podcast. And I think, it's not really, I don't think that's me. Yeah. But I think that you look, we're always told is do something. You need to be doing something big. You need to be going to the next big thing. And I think there are people who do. And I look at you who've written a book and done a podcast. Now, I love to cheer y'all on. I am number one cheerleader for all my friends who moved on to all those things. And send me your book. I want to talk all about it. Yeah. But I don't I'm okay. I'm really, and I think maybe this is just being in your 40s, I'm really okay with just where I'm at. I'm just a little blogger. I think that it's okay. And I think you have a lot of listeners that think, well, I don't have a big platform, or I'm not doing these big things, so I don't matter. And I think, I teach preschool, Sunday school, and that matters, even if it's only matters to those little kids. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes everybody cannot be Jamie Ivey. Everybody cannot be Jenny Allen. Everybody cannot be doing the big things. Sometimes there's got to be people that are doing the little things, that are working in the nursery. Yes. And I saw Jenny post something about that today, and I thought, yes, because I feel like there's a pressure that if you're not writing a book, or you're not having a big platform, or you're not speaking in front of thousands of people, then that's just, your life is a waste. But I think I've learned that it's not. You find your lane, and we all have our lanes, and that some are big and some are little, but they all are important.
Yeah. And I think that's so true. And I have a whole thing, a whole new chapter in a book I'm working on about influencing the people that are right in front of you. And for some people, For some people, you said Jenny, so we'll say Jenny, who started this conference, and they minister to thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people around the world, and it's amazing.
Yes.
But I remember, and so I get to also stand on stages sometimes and write books and do a podcast. But you know what I used to do that was so great? I used to teach fifth grade Sunday school. And I don't think that I've moved on to bigger and better. I think God's just changing me where my ministry goes. And so,
absolutely.
But that fifth grade Sunday school was no less important than my podcast that reaches thousands of women. And so I love what you're saying, and I'm so passionate about this. I'm so happy to hear you saying this because I want women to thrive exactly where God has them. And you brought up something so good when you said, I feel like I should, but I don't think it's my thing. And I think too many people give into the shoulds, and they're miserable. They're not creating good quality of content, and they hate their life because they're doing the shoulds.
Yeah. Well, that's what, people say, write a book. And I think I could write a book because I have a platform. I could probably sell a book, but my heart is not there at all, and I think I don't want to do something that my heart is not into.
That's so good.
And I think, and that's kind of, I think I was thinking about where my life has gone from the last 10 years. And even in college, I think it's interesting. I think God puts you where he wants you, and you don't have to seek it out. And I think, sometimes you do, but when I was in college, I was a finance major. I wanted to be in business, but I felt this small tug, God was calling me into ministry. And I kept thinking, I don't even know what that means. What would I possibly do in ministry? And this was 1994 when there was no computers. I didn't have an email address. I didn't know. There was no, there may have been internet somewhere out for
but
nerds,
not really, because I
didn't know what it was.
No, we did not have, I have an email address. No.
I didn't know what it was. But I think when I think back to my life, I think now I work part-time for a ministry, and I look at my blog and social media as a ministry. It's mostly about my life and my family, but I try, if I'm going to have a platform, I'm going to bring Jesus into it and try to talk about him. And so I think God has a creative way of, I could have never dreamed that one day I would have thousands of people that I could talk to Jesus about while sitting at home in my pajamas, and
amazing.
That's the ministry that he has me in. And that's not anything that I would have ever sought out.
Yeah.
I work part-time for a ministry that's a lady that at my church mentored me. And then she started this ministry. She's a therapist, and it's kind of therapy-based. And I did not seek out to work for that or a ministry, but that's just kind of where God led me. And so I think it's interesting where God can call you into something, and you may have an idea in your head what that's going to look like, but he calls us all into different forms of ministry, I think. And so
true. And just when we're willing to go wherever it is, even if it doesn't look like what other people are doing and what their ministry looks like. Mm-hmm. So proud of you. Okay. So tell me some more things that have happened in the past 10 years.
So, I ended up having 3 kids, and just, I think, I haven't done any, like we talked about, I haven't done anything major, I don't think. It's just been a lot of where God's had me working in the local church, and blogging opened up a lot of unusual doors for me to do different things. And I think about, I went on a compassion trip to Ecuador with Ann Voskamp and Amanda Jones and Melanie Schenkel and Sophie Hudson, all people who've been on your podcast.
Yes.
And Amanda Jones and I will laugh about it because we took a boat ride down the Amazon River with Ann Voskamp, and then we stayed in these little cabins in the Amazon where we could, it was screened in and you could hear all these animals. And we just, sometimes we'll talk about that and go, did that really happen? That is the most surreal thing in my life, that I was on a boat in the Amazon with Ann Voskamp and Beth Moore's daughter. It's just how did that happen? But that's just one of those things I think, blogging, just random things that have happened through blogging and Instagram and,
okay, but you just said you haven't done very much, but I know what you're about to tell me. And I know that there's a lot that's happening with something else that you've done in the last 10 years. And I want to talk about that.
Yeah.
So talk to us about Singles Day.
Yes. So probably the thing that I'm most proud of in the last 10 years, besides my family, obviously.
Sure. Yeah. We'll give you that.
Family's my main thing, but I would say the biggest thing just once again happened on a whim. Well, I'll give you a little background to it. Because I didn't get married till I was 30. singles have always been that was something I just wanted to get married. Where I was from, people got married very young, and I just assumed I would get married at 21 or 22. And so I didn't, and it was a hard time for me. And so my heart has always been with, especially girls who want to be married, and it's just hard the older you get to find somebody. And so I used to do this thing on my blog like every Friday called, when everybody had blogs still.
Okay.
And they would do like blog link ups, and where you would link up your blog or whatever. And it was Show Us Your Life Friday. And so that was like, show us your living room, show us your favorite breakfast dish, just whatever. And people would write their posts and link up their blogs on Fridays. And so I had a couple friends who were single, and they said, you know what you ought to do? You ought to do is a Show Us Your Single Guys Friday. And just as a joke, just as a joke. And so we were laughing. And then I thought about it for a while, and I thought, you know what? Why not? I mean, if thousands of people are reading my blog, they got to know somebody that's single. And if they would share who they know that's single, who knows? The internet has a way of connecting, making the world small. So I thought, okay, we'll try it. We'll just try it. And I seriously thought we'll try it, but there's no way this will ever work. And so we did it. This was 10 years ago.
This was in 2010.
2010.
Okay.
I think it was in February, because I usually do it in February, because I think Valentine's, that's a terrible time for singles. So let's try to make something fun. So we did it, and hundreds of people did blog posts about their son. It was girls and guys, but about their sons, or themselves, or their coworkers, or whoever. And they did blog posts, and then people could comment, and they could leave their information and then get connected. Okay, seriously. I mean, I seriously went in and thinking like 5 people will link up.
Right.
Nothing will ever happen. Well, hundreds linked up. And I don't know how many people met that first time, but I know that I started doing it every year for the last 10 years. I've done it every year. And up until last year, I'd had 13 couples meet and get married.
Oh my gosh.
I know. It's like The Bachelor, only better.
Only better.
Better odds, I think, than The Bachelor. So anyways, 13 couples. But the problem is it started dying off because no one blogged anymore. And I couldn't get people, I was like, so the last couple of years, there would only be maybe like 50 people that would link up because they didn't have blogs. Yeah.
Okay, guys, I'm going to stop right here in the middle of this conversation, which you're dying to get back to, I know. But I want to tell you about a sponsor who is helping make the happy hour possible. Today's show is brought to you by Noom. It's that time again. It's time to focus on your goals for the new year. Noom is the habit change program that uses psychology to help you understand why you make the decisions you make and then feel empowered to change for good. My guess is like me, you too could use some help in making decisions that help you feel better and have more energy. That's what I am enjoying most about Noom. Their app and program really help me to be more successful at adding more balance to my life. I can see the better choices that give me more energy and help me improve my mood by choosing foods that are fulfilling and long-lasting. Plus, it helps me to stay on track with my own move goals that I have each day. Based in psychology, Noom teaches you why you do the things you do and empowers you with the tools to break the bad habits and replace them with better ones. Noom is forgiving because you're human. If you go off track, there's no shaming, just tips to help you get back on track tomorrow. Over 80% of Noomers finish the program, and over 60% have stuck with their goals for at least 1 year. It's the perfect time to make a step toward healthier habits. Sign up for your trial today at Noom. That's Noom.com/happy hour. What do you have to lose? Visit Noom.com/happy hour to start your trial today. That's Noom, Noom.com/happy hour. If I blogged and said, show me, here's my son, he's amazing.
Yes.
How would anyone get a hold of him?
Well, so they would have to like leave a comment and say, here's my email or here's my phone number. And then you would have to go between them. Okay. That's pretty much how it would work. And so last year, everybody kept saying, and so I always have a swarm of people that start saying, are you going to do the singles thing again? And I thought, I don't know that I'm ever going to do it again because this blogging is just not working. Yeah. And no one wants to write a blog. You'd have to create a blog to even, it's too much work for people. So I was like, okay, that's never going to work. So I thought, okay, I'll try to do it through Instagram. And I was thinking maybe 50 people again. And I thought I'll just feature them in my stories or something. Okay. Well, that was my original thought. So last year I started thinking of this way. Well, I started advertising it, and people started getting excited because it was going to be on Instagram, but the thing is, I knew, I had suggested I just use a hashtag, but no one wants to get on their own personal account and put a picture and say, hi,
yeah, exactly.
I'm Kelly. I'm 45 and I'm single and I'm looking for a man. Nobody wants to do that. And so anyways, then Annie Downs got involved and helped me started promoting it. And so all of a sudden I had people emailing me. So they would have to email me their pictures and a little thing about themselves.
Okay.
And that I was going to do on my stories. Well, next thing I know, I had almost 2,000 singles. And so I know
you can't do that that's emails in your inbox.
Yes.
To put on stories.
And Jamie, I did. Yes. I bit off way more than I could chew. So I created an account, an Instagram account. It's what I'm using again this year. It's Kelly's Corner Singles. Right now it's closed and it'll open up on February the 15th.
Oh, wait, I was trying to look for it. I can't find it.
Kelly's Corner. It's there, but it's just private and nobody can follow. I won't allow anyone to follow it until February the 15th because I'm still working on it. So I literally made a post for all 2,000 people. Like each person gets their own post. And the amount of hours, I can't even. Oh
my God!
I was not even sleeping towards the end. I mean, I would stay up all night long posting.
Of course you would.
And I'm stubborn, so I thought I can do this all myself. Anyways, yes, huge. And we had people from every state. I use hashtags to identify what state they're from, and then male or female, so you can search better, And then we had people from countries all over the world, every state.
Okay, so a couple questions. I'm so intrigued by this. If I was single, which I'm not, but if I were single,
yes,
I would email you.
Yes.
And is this how you're doing it now, or is there like a Google
This
form?
year I have a Google form.
Okay, good.
I'm trying to get smarter.
Yes, I'm so happy for you. So I would click on the Google form.
Yes.
Put my picture, put my info, and then you upload all that to your page.
Yes. And I'm still doing it, a post for each person is what I'm doing.
Oh my gosh. So it goes live when?
February the 15th.
Okay.
So I like to do it the day after Valentine's because, Valentine's is not the greatest day.
That's right.
When you're single. And so I think this gives you something to look forward to. The day after is our day.
Okay. So take me back to last year.
Last year, I try to be very protective of the people who do this because I know it's a lot sometimes for people to put themselves out there. And I didn't want to rely on comments last year. So I actually used a Google form where people would, if they were interested, they would have to use the Google form, tell who they were interested in and their contact. And then I went between
Kelly,
the people.
No,
hey, Jamie, there were like 7,000, I think more than that by the time it was over, like probably closer to 10,000 entries on the Google Forms. And then I was emailing them all out. Yes. Yeah. I nearly lost my mind. I literally nearly lost my mind. And why I didn't hire anyone. I couldn't hire anyone because I didn't have any. I mean, like I was doing this for free.
Money off of it.
No.
Yeah.
Scott would be really angry if I started paying people to do this for my free work. So anyways, yes, it was crazy. So this year, after a while,
$5 an entry, Kelly.
Well, this year I did put on the Google form if you would like to donate, only because people understand that I put a gazillion hours into this. And closer to the end, I may have to hire some help. So I thought if I'm going to hire some help, I'm going to have to. So people have been donating. I said like $1 to $5 if you want to donate.
Listen, if you're listening to this
to help me hire some
you
help.
Need to send in 20, okay? Everybody send her a 20. This is not a $5.
I'm not trying to make money.
I'm just
not, like, if I need to hire a team, I'm going to have something to pay them with besides my own grocery money. So, because I view this as a ministry, and so I really don't want to, But anyway, so we had like 2,000 people last year, and I finally opened up the comments, and that's what I'm doing this year. I'm just going to let people comment, and if they want to have their own, they're able to put their Instagram account.
Okay.
On the post. And so people can DM and that way they can connect it without me having to be the go-between because that was crazy.
Yeah.
But since last year, we've had 3 couples get engaged and there's another 5 couples that are very serious, like probably will be engaged soon.
Oh my word. From last year's thing.
I know. From last February.
Kelly.
So I know. So I am proud because
weddings? They should.
They all invite me to their weddings. Aww. I've only been to one because it was close and it's hard for me to travel. Yeah. But I would love to go to them all. But there's couples that got married several years ago that have 4 or 5. I mean, there's so many kids that have been born, and it's not me. I feel like it's just a platform that God's given me, and if I want to use it for something fun and good. And I have such a heart for singles because when you're single and you want to meet someone, I think you just start hearing lies from Satan that say, a lot of times, I know I did, that said, you're not pretty, you're not lovable. There's a reason you're not single. I think you start hearing those lies, and that kills me that's what's fed into people's heads. And so I just want to give, if nothing else, I hope it gives hope and encouragement that you're not alone out there. And there's amazing people that come in here on the Singles Day.
Do you ever get any negative feedback?
Not really.
Okay, good. I was just wondering.
I get a lot of negative feedback on a lot of things, but as we all do.
Yes.
What I want people to know is I don't do this because I think marriage is the end all. And if you're not married, that everybody should be married. And even Paul in the Bible says everyone should not be married. I don't think marriage is it. And if you're not married, then you're not. That's the opposite of what I'm trying to say here. I'm trying to say that if you want to be married, I know it's hard to find someone. And I know that sometimes people who are single, especially in the church, they don't feel seen. They don't feel, because church is so geared towards, and I love the local church. My dad was a pastor. I love church, but I'll even say my own church, which I love, does a terrible job with singles.
We can all do better. Yes, you're right.
And I think church is hard for singles, and singles are hard for the church. They don't know what to do with them sometimes. They don't know how to bring them in. And so I think you can feel very unseen. You don't know how to get involved. You don't know, where do you go? And so I just want them to know that they are loved and that they are, that we see them, we care. And listen, I met my husband on a blind date. I went on a lot of blind dates. And so I think that's a great way to meet you can't always meet someone in a bar or in the grocery store, like people say, or, if you work all day and then it's hard. Where do you meet someone the older you get? And so the way you meet someone is usually people that know you.
Set you up.
Yes. And so this is just a way of kind of opening that up, I think. It's not a dating app.
Listen. Yeah, that's exactly right.
People meet each other on dating apps all the time. And I feel like this is just a safer way of, who knows? There could be some crazy people in there. Thankfully, I haven't had any problems in 20 years or 10 years, but it's worth a shot. It's what I always tell people. It's worth a shot. It doesn't work for everyone, and it won't work for everyone. But, and one of my biggest issues is getting guys. So if you're listening to this and you're a guy or know any single guys, because I'm a mom blogger, a middle-aged mom, no single guys follow me, and it would be kind of weird if they did. So, if they do, that's great. But,
tell your single friends.
I need single guys, and that's how it works. But it does work for people and some really amazing couples. And I love to see there's so many amazing single girls that are like foster parents and have traveled the world and done all these amazing things. And I think they're not putting their life on hold, because I feel like I did. I was like, well, I'm not going to do this until I'm married. I'm not going to get involved in this. And so I love to see that they're just living their amazing lives. And if they get married, then great.
Okay, that's amazing. Okay, so a couple of questions. Number one, this is coming out on February 14th. So
yes,
if they still want to apply and they're hearing this show today or the next couple of days, is it how long can you apply?
Keep applying. Okay. I'll keep posting people as long as they keep coming.
Okay.
And last year I kept it open a couple of months, and then I kind of shut it down at contacting each other, and I didn't really, and people were wanting to be deleted because they had met someone or whatever.
Yeah.
After a while, it just kind of runs its course. So, for a couple of months, if you want to send in your name, I will keep adding you.
So then do you go in and delete everything from last year?
I did.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Yeah.
This is so exciting. Okay. So that is so fun. And I can't wait to see that this year. I know I had a friend last year tell me about it, and they put their picture up there. So fun stuff, Kelly. Way to go. 10 years. Look at you getting people married left and right. Okay. So one thing I have been asking everyone at the end of these special edition shows is, what do you look forward to in the next 10 years? Like when you think about the next decade, which, let me just do this math for you real quick. How old is your oldest?
11.
I mean, you have a 21-year-old.
I know.
So we did one of these shows, and we said, in the next 10 years, our oldest will be 26.
Yeah.
And
y'all will be empty nesters.
I got married young. And so I was married with a baby by 26. And I could not even imagine that for my son. But you looking forward at your life for the next 10 years, what is something you really hope for?
I hope for my kids to follow after Jesus. That's my biggest passion, is I just want them to be passionate about Jesus and to follow after him. And I worry so much about the teenage years. If they stay strong and follow him, that's a huge one for me. And I also I kind of look forward to when Scott and our kids are older and we'll be able, we don't travel a whole lot and we don't leave them a whole lot. Yeah. And so sometimes, and I have most of my friends my age have kids, are empty nesters, or their kids are going to college. And I'm always like, and they're always going off and doing things that I'm like, call me in like 7 years and maybe I can do more things. So I look forward to being able to do more things. And I love my kids getting older. Yeah. I miss the baby years, but I think that the older they get, the more fun they are. And I look forward to traveling with them and doing things with them. And as far as like, who knows what God will have in the next 10, I couldn't have dreamed where this is now in 10 years. And so I'm not much of a dreamer. I'm more of a realist. That's why I was a finance major. And so I see black and white. So I don't, we'll see. I don't know that I'm open-handed to whatever God has in the next 10 years. I just hope I'm alive.
I know. Speaking of, one of your kids still love Jesus, when Beth Moore was on the show earlier this year, she said something that I'll probably never forget. She said like her prayer for her kids and her grandkids was just not that they would do the right things or not that they would follow all the rules, but that they would just love Jesus. Yeah. She says that everything else falls into place. And I was like, I'll never forget that. Like it changed the way I pray for my kids.
Yes.
Not just like, I want my kids to, stay sexually pure. I want them to be kind. I want them to have characters that, are above reproach. I want all these things. But really, she's like, if you just pray and beg that your kids love Jesus, even if they were to go astray, even if they were to make mistakes, like that love is going to sustain them. And I'm like, oh, yes. Thank you, Beth. That's what I want.
Yes.
Right there. Yes.
When our girls were little, they said very similar things, say that like they just want them to love Jesus, even if that means they have to go through hard things or have some bad times or rebel or whatever it is, as long as at the end that Jesus had to do whatever he needed to draw them to him. And I thought that's when Jesus drew me the closest, is when the hard times came and the bad things I've loved Jesus my whole life, but I haven't known him like I have through hard times. And so I think I don't want to pray for my kids to go through hard times.
Oh, I know.
But that's a hard prayer. But if that's what it takes for them to just have not a lukewarm, but a strong passion for Jesus, then okay.
Then we'll do it.
I'll let them. I'll let them go through the bad times.
Well, Kelly, thank you so much for coming on this for your last decade. And it's fun to see what God's done through you just following him and pursuing him and being faithful to serve him right where you are. Like it's a beautiful picture of what you were talking about earlier, of just doing exactly what God's equipped you to do and not feeling like you're missing out or not feeling like you should be doing something else. And so it's an honor to hear you teach that to us today as we listen to your story. So thank you for that.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Jamie. And thank you for everything that you do, pointing to Jesus in your podcast.
You're kind. Okay, so everyone that's single, y'all, and if you got some single men in your life, send them in. Guys, send them in. We need it. And we'll put all the links in the show notes so you know how to follow it. So thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
You guys, isn't that crazy? I love it so much. Okay, February 15th, tomorrow, that is when Singles Day opens. You guys, if you're single or you know someone who is single, especially all those awesome single dudes that you know, jump on over to Kelly's Corner Singles tomorrow to meet some incredible people looking to partner with someone in life. I love Kelly's heart for singles, and I think it is so cool that God is using her to care for singles and bring people together through the internet, through Instagram. I knew I loved Instagram, you guys. You can learn more about Kelly on her blog, kellyscornerblog.com. That's corner with a K. And follow her Singles Day Instagram at Kelly's Corner with a K, Singles. I'll be sure and post on my Instagram, and we have all the show notes on the webpage, jamieivey.com. Thanks for listening to this special edition of The Happy Hour, Your Last Decade. Our hope in all of these special edition shows is that you too can reflect on your last decade. Whether you were 23 years old 10 years ago, you were 65, or you were 12. We want you to look back and see what God has done in your life and where he has brought you. How have you persevered? How have you screwed up? What would you do differently? My list is long, you guys. And what are you proud of? Also, our list should be long there as well. Also, looking back always causes me to look forward. What do you hope to see happen in your next decade? Today's show is edited by Chris with Podshaper and organized by Lindsay Sweeney. The music is developed for the show by Matt Graham, and the show notes are written by Aki Slockers. We'd love it if you enjoyed this show, if you would share it with your friends. Word of mouth is the #1 way people find out about our podcast, and we say thank you for that. You guys are sending in some awesome guest suggestions for the show. Keep them coming. Feel free to email podcast@jamieivey.com and put in the subject YLD for your last decade. Y'all have a great week, and we'll see you on Wednesday's Happy Hour with my special guest, Courtney Reisick.